Hi, this is Pete from HauntBots. In today's video, we're going to look at how to get up and running with the HauntBots Programming Console. Now, I've already installed the software, and I have an APC8 attached to my computer. So I'm going to go through the steps of how you would typically get this thing up and running. Now, the one thing that I always like to do is go into Device Manager first and actually look at the COM port that the controller you're using is attached to. So if we go into Device Manager, scroll down here, I can see I have COM5. Now COM5, it's the only COM port showing, so I know that's what's attached to my APC8. If we go in here, just as in a previous video, we checked out the parameters. Want to do the same thing here, go to Advanced. Now this is a slightly different USB adapter that we're using here, so you can see the parameters are a little bit different if you might have been looking at our previous video. This talks about the first in, first out buffers. And there again, for our uses, we probably want to turn those off. And COM5, like I said before, any COM port between COM1 and COM16 will work. So as long as you're in that range, COM5 is fine. So we can close that now and close all these and go ahead and give our programming console a run. Now it's going to start up. And looks like we've already successfully attached to the APC8. We can see that we have the main thing that clues us in is right here, D3. That's actually showing us the firmware number of the revision that's in the controller. If you're not attached, that's going to say A0. So if you have a number there, you know you're successfully talking to your controller. Now this is an APC8, so we have one bank of 8 outputs, and you can see that on the screen you have the output numbers 1 through 8, and you have output names. Now you can go in here and right click on this and go in and actually edit the name. We're going to say that's red LED perhaps, and just like that you can go through and name each of these channel numbers to be what the name is. Now when I made this change, you might have noticed this red light lit up over here on the download button. All of these parameters, as far as what the output names are actually stored in the controller. So the next time you come back, maybe you want to edit a show, you come back, hook your programming console to it, and that controller is going to upload that whole personality that you created, what the output names are. You can also go in here and you can choose what you want to use for programming in real-time mode. So let's say that we want to use the A key. Every time we hit the A key, we want that output to turn on. And you can go right down the line assigning keys to the different outputs. Now I just like to use the home row of keys across the center of the keyboard, so that's typically what I use. The one little gotcha here, it kind of varies from computer to computer. But just because of the way keyboards are set up, it's possible that you'll have different key combinations that are impossible to press together. Because the way keys on keyboards are arranged in a matrix, they're connected in rows and columns. And there's sometimes, now I can go through here and I can press the different keys, and in this configuration I know on my computer they will all work, but it might be that you have a keyboard that if you press the A key, you can't also press the S key at the same time, and that's just something you're going to have to experiment with your particular computer. So I've gone through here and I've assigned keys to the different channels for real-time programming. I'm not going to go through the steps of just changing these, but basically it's, you know, right-click, delete what's there, and put in whatever it is you might need that output to be. You could have this be pop-up solenoid or something like that. It really doesn't matter. Whatever's going to make sense to you when you come back later and need to program this device. Now we can do is hit download, and it's going to save that into the controller. So did that, it flashed a little while, it says configuration transmit complete. So that's actually in the controller at this point. So now, starting a new show, what you want to do is hit New Show. And you have two different options here. You can go in and you can say, well, I want the show to be 15 seconds long. Or alternately, you can load a file. Now, a file would be an audio clip that you're programming to. It could be a WAV file, it can be an MP3 file, it doesn't matter. But the programming console will load that audio track and it'll look at it and say, okay, that audio track is a minute and 30 seconds long, or whatever it might be, and that will actually set your show length, as well as being something that you can program your show to when you're doing it in real time. For this demonstration, real quick, we're just going to say it's going to be a 15-second show, and maybe we want a frame rate of 24 frames per second. That's just the choice of how fine a resolution you want. 24 frames per second works pretty good, anywhere from 24 to 30. For animation, you get fairly lifelike. That's enough divisions per second to get you something that usually looks pretty good. So you set this up and you say done, and now we're ready to program. So programming can be done in a number of different ways. You can go in and you could program all the outputs at once if you have enough fingers on your hands to hit all the different keys on the keyboard, or you can go in and do it a little bit at a time. If we're programming an animatronic where we're trying to synchronize a mouth to a soundtrack, usually we'd probably want to synchronize that first, get the mouth done and out of the way, and then we'd go back in and add the incidental motions for whatever other movements the character might have. In this case, let's just say we want to just program the red LED by itself. So we would select that channel for programming just by hitting the select button, and we would go down here to the lower right corner where the record button is, and we'd hit that. And it's going to say to press the R key to begin recording, or you can click OK, or you can hit enter. Either way, when you do either of those things, the show is going to begin going. You see your time going here, and if you look over here, every time I hit the A key, I'm basically turning that output on and off in real time. I'm puppeting the output, I'm programming it, whatever what you want to call what it is you're doing as far as creating the show, whether whether you're just creating a sequence or whether you want to look at it as programming or recording. So we've just created that little sequence there by tapping on the A key, and we can go back now and we can watch it. And if you'll watch here with hitting the preview key, you'll see that the A key starts flashing somewhere about in the middle of the show where I started actually hitting it, and it's flashing now, and it's going to play back exactly what I did. That's currently in the recording buffer. If you're happy with that, we go down and we hit the merge buffer, and that takes what was in our recording buffer and puts it into the show buffer. Now at that point, you're free to clear this selection, and now maybe we want to go back in and program both of these two channels together on the S and the D key. So we can go and we can hit the record button now. What you're going to see happening is what we recorded on channel number 1 is going to play back while we're adding in animation on channels S and D, channels 2 and 3. So hit record, hit OK, and I'm going to start hitting S and D, and I'm currently pressing those keys, but you're going to see the A key start hitting too, but that's already in the memory. So in this way you can build up a show a little bit of time, you can build up a show in layers and bit by bit. And again, the show completed, I can go back and I can preview that and see exactly what it's doing. And if I'm happy with that, I say that's fine, merge it, and now it's in the show buffer. And at that point you can play it back, and it'll do exactly what you told it to do. It's just repeat the sequence over and over and over again. You can also go in and you can look at that graphically. Now this is another way you can actually program the HauntBots controllers in a graphical format. So if we go in here, we can scale our time. This zoom lets you zoom time. So this is the 1 second mark, the 2 second mark, and on and on. And these are your channels. And these are the transitions we created just during that demonstration there. So as you can see, the channel the output number 1, we're looking at these as output numbers, but we can also look at them by their names we gave them. So there's our names. You can see that I was talking there at the beginning, so the transitions on the red LED channel, output number 1, didn't begin till about 6 seconds in. But this is, and maybe what you want to do is, well, this transition right here was a little bit too long. You can go in and erase it. Or maybe this transition needs to be a little longer. We can make it longer. You can create the show graphically entirely if you want. Like if I want to go down here and say, well, this output needs to be on, this needs to be on, this needs to be on, you can create your show entirely graphical. You can create your show entirely in real time, or you can go back and forth between the two. It doesn't really matter. And when you are done, what you do with your show is download it to the controller. And once the show is downloaded to the controller, it's in there in the flash memory of the controller. You can disconnect your computer, and that show is now ready to run.